Well, after Governor Abbott released his 40-point plan on school safety this past week, tonight a local administrator is speaking out. Ray High School Principal Cecilia Perez attended the roundtable discussions and now has questions on the funding. Our Taylor Alanis has tonight's top story.
Ceci Perez says she was honored to bring something to the table when it comes to protecting students. But after Abbott released his 40 solution plan, Perez has some questions.
Governor Abbott wanted to hear from educators, so there were 4 superintendents, myself, and principal.
Ray High School Principal Ceci Perez says during her roundtable with Governor Greg Abbott, she talked mostly about prevention. What can teachers and administrators notice or put in place to help kids with behavior or mental health issues?
We need more police presence, more counselors, which is funding. I mean, we need funding to be able to provide that.
Perez says Abbott provided some great solutions, but wonders where the money would come from.
Well, my follow-up question is, will there be funding provided to school districts to help them with that?
A key point Abbott brought up in his plan was creating an active shooter alarm separate from a fire alarm.
My worry there would be, well, what if you have an active shooter that pulls a fire alarm?
Perez really liked Abbott's solution about monitoring what students post online through fusion centers.
Students do outcries through social media, and so if more people are monitoring that and giving people, administrators a heads up, that can only help principals.
A topic that was discussed in her roundtable was putting in place an online system where students can anonymously report bullies.
CCISD's had that, for several years, so we're ahead of the game there. We definitely have our EOPs in place.
Perez says she sent the governor's team a follow-up email about his 40 solutions and says Abbott is definitely sticking to his word about prioritizing student safety.
That day that we met, he did say this was only the first step. There's going to be more steps, and so they've already replied to me.
Perez has a conference call set up tomorrow with Abbott's Education Policy Manager. In studio, Taylor Alanis, 3 News.